everyone, are you ready for another adventure? It's me, Wokey, and I'm back with another grinding talk because it's the event's got about 3 days left to it, which translates to about 4 days or so, I guess, depending on when you see the video. It might actually be 3 days or less by this point. And now we've gotten to the point where I'm just gonna be grinding out the event itself, and the grinding talk is me just doing a whole buttload of grinding and talking about whatever topic I want to talk about at the top of my head until I feel satisfied enough to stop. And that's really just all the video. Feel free to leave a like and comment and subscribe if you want to talk about anything here, but really it's just a way for me to talk for an hour while grinding this. So yeah, that's the grinding talk. It's been a bit since I've done one, so let's go in here and do it. I guess the first thing I can say, so I'm doing the final node, and this is the team. It is not optimal by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not even saying it's good. What I'm saying is, this is the team. I did not want to use Koyanskaya because she is Bond 15. If I really wanted to just easily swap this up, I could just use this team. And this team with double Koyanskaya would be enough, but my Koyan, as you can see here, is Bond 15. And the update is not out yet that gives you 20% bond bonus for doing it. And this one is my friend, so there would be no point for me to show this. And you can see she's right, bond 6, so she should get some use. And Oberon is currently being used because I don't have access to I need to get bond 6 with Andromeda to be able to use it, but he's getting close to getting bond 15, and then likely I'll retire him for a little bit. And by retire, I mean just wait and use the team again for when the bond update comes out, so then I can turbo get Kukulkan to the final bond level. But anyway, this is the team. First wave is taken down by everybody's favorite Habitrot using a Black Grail that is not max limit broken, and then Andromeda, who has NP1. Skill 1 and skill 3 at 10 will blast it off with a max limit broken Black Grail, given the fact that she has a big ol' attack bonus, and she's getting a whole bunch of support from everyone else. It is not that hard. It is very easy to kind of do it. I am not getting the maximum amount of points that I can, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll redo it again when she gets to bond 6, but I don't care that much. As long as I'm able to use the team, I think it's fine. But it's not the most optimal. Feel free to tell me about what team you've been using, but just to show it off now. This is very simple, of course, with everything going on here. There's no reason for me to switch out, so Habitrot will go in here and kind of go in and big old boom. The one thing I have to be careful of is not to accidentally give guts to Habitrot. I have to target one of the other 2 units. If I accidentally target her, then she will not die, and I need her to die. See? She does a decent bit of damage there. I actually wonder if I could probably get away with not doing it now that. But the reason I don't is because to use Scotty, because Scotty gives 50% to exactly 1 unit, it makes it pretty tough to use the other ones. So yeah, as you can see here, this is where if I had her at the final, not final bond level, but bond 6, she would be able to get that last 20%, but I don't. So I have to come in here and use Oberon. I don't even need to use this skill, but I can just do it for the funsies. And then she'll come in here. She says, Daijobu, let's go in there and get some butt in there. She goes, Ethiopia Sictus. And she slaps the shit out of him with her chains. The big old Leviathan shows up. Easy, it's not that hard. It's just that easy. She takes damage from just from existing. I forgot to even give her the quick, but I can give it to her now. It doesn't really matter for the first one, but yeah, 50%, 50%. Big old fucking attack. I don't even need to really use that, and I'm not going to use it from this point forward, but yeah, this is about it. It should not be that hard to kill with this. I'm using the Black Grail and things like that. And yeah, that's about the team I've decided to go with for this one. There was a couple other teams I kind of experimented with, but I would much rather wait until I get to bond 6, or I'm able to get all the CEs needed to get a max limit break, which I think I'm missing like 1. So I have to kind of wait and see for that. But yeah, that's the team. Simple enough, right? It's not that bad. All right, so how have I been doing since the last time I had a grind and talk? I've been busy with work, really fucking busy with work, like insanely busy with work, which is making me, which is good because that means more money. And more money is always good, especially in these times. But it also means it kind of prevents me from doing a lot of the video stuff that I have planned. I'm hopeful to get some of them done in time. Let me see, how much time do I have left in this month? I have about a week. Yeah, I have about a week, and the next event should be actually, now I don't know when the next event is going to be starting up, because I guess they're going to be doing the males later, because they said mid-March is Ordeal Call 2. So they're going to do Ordeal Call first, and then maybe do the dudes? Which is like, okay, I guess that's fine. Not what I expected at all. I'll have to wait a little bit to do that video where I talk about the end of the month stuff talking about. And that video is also going to be fun because it's going to be the first post Richard. Obviously, the last one I did, I thought I did a decent enough job saying, here's what I think it is. It should be a relatively pretty, you know, calm month. But then Richard kind of came into the month and it kind of fucked up everything that I had thought of or planned of, and it kind of like it makes it hard to do a video where you're just like, here's what I think is gonna happen, and then the unthinkable happens, and then what do you do from that point onward? Do I just always acknowledge the elephant in the room in which they can do whatever? It's fine. I'll think of it. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I've dealt with worse. So I'll get that done. This is the kind of things I usually go into when I start thinking about video stuff. How did you not kill? This is because I didn't give you the big buff at the end, didn't it? All right, fine. I'll start giving it to you if that was like her sign of saying, hey, give me the big buff. Or I am occasionally just gonna throw for content. Anyway. What was I talking about before throwing for content? Yeah, the video stuff. So yeah, the video making process things, I always try and do, I put a lot of thought into a lot of the things I do, which I feel like, I wonder if it, no, it does work. I was wondering about something else, but maybe I shouldn't say anything. Go here. But the point is what I'm saying, it does definitely get noticed because I do slowly start building my subscriber count up, which is very nice. Which means that I should care more. The truth of it is that as more people kind of get subscribed into it, it makes it so I have to go in there. But then it also causes this situation where like I start to second guess everything that I'm doing, and that's not good. It's easier to be able to do things when you know that nobody's watching, but then when you have an idea that someone's watching, it completely changes how you kind of function. At least for me, it does. I've always been that way, though. Even back in... I've always had, like, the issue of not being able to show stuff that I think isn't good enough or isn't the best that I can do. Which was the funny thing about, I guess, me in elementary school, because there would be times where I would do the assigned work and then I just wouldn't submit it. And I think eventually one of the teachers found out that I was doing that and said, why are you doing that? And not in the tone that I was giving it right now. Like, that was like, why are you doing it? You know that any points is better than no points, right? Like, you need to be submitting. And I was like, I got it wrong. I don't want to put in something that's wrong. And so unfortunately I've never been able to break out of that mindset, and it's been a very hard one to break. I think I did break it eventually sometime in high school when I realized that that mindset was very bad if I was going to do it. Like, it was like the ultimate culmination of all the bad stuff I had accumulated by choosing not to submit anything. I'm going to use these little apples here because I've been saving them for this specific moment. The apples based off of my stamina. See, I realized sometime in high school, and so what resulted in it is that I basically did nothing throughout all of high school until the very end, where I had to do like an entire high school worth of I don't know, educational programs in order to graduate, and I had to do it all in the span of like a year and a half, which was not fun. It was extremely difficult, and it was terrible because I was on the final year to make sure I was doing it. I was like balancing across multiple things, and at the end of that, I said, I'm just never gonna do that again. If I ever get in a situation where I'm actually able to make it to the college that I want to go to, that I'm able to go to, then this never happens again. I forgot, that's why I haven't failed it, because I'm fucking up talking about my fucking backstory. Here we go. Go here. Yeah, I was able to do all that, and then I got into the college, and I never did again. And then my problem then was not, and then it turned out that that college was maybe not anything worth all the effort that I put into it, but it's okay because I met a lot of good friends there, like members of the Mew Mew Force, Jason, Cap, and Ginyu, who are my loving friends, who I would never trade anything in the world for them. Absolutely some of the greatest dudes that I know out there. Still, all worth it in the end. Life is a never-ending experience of, like, I don't know what's going on, but now I am. So if you're going through any tough times there, just know that eventually even tough times, hard climbs, will make it all together. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. That's the theme song. And that's how I feel. So there we go. I don't know how I got on that topic, but I can get off of it now. Fake Grand Order. Can't wait to make more videos. But yeah, I'm gonna try and find, because Saturday and Sunday are looking to be like killers, and I need to go to bed early on Saturday, I think, so that I can make it, so I can be like, because I have to wake up early to go to a Hololive Bloom Cup that me and my brother have been preparing to go to for a decent bit here. And then as soon as that finishes, I have to make it my way home so I can start working on what is going to be probably one of the worst nights that we've had at work for a couple years now, where due to some terrible planning, a lot of things need to be due on that specific day that can't really be helped in any kind of capacity, which sucks, but that's work as well. That's gonna be fun. I'll try and see if I can find some time to record something. Maybe it'd be better if after this I recorded a video of me playing a game of some kind. Probably not Fake Grand Order, because if there's new stuff, then I'll make time to try and find some way to talk about it for a bit, but I'll think about it. If you see a random video pop up and you see it and you're like, what the fuck? What is that? That's me. I will have made my decision. Let's go in here, go there, walk back out, do the classic switcheroo, go here. I have to make sure that I'm actually clicking the right buttons. There we go. Now Daijobu, we continue on. But yeah, other than that, I've been chilling for the most part. Watched a couple things, I think. In terms of movies, what did I see? I saw, no, the last movie I saw, which it stopped me from watching movies for a bit, was the 1998 American Godzilla, which is the bad one, featuring Zilla. The reason being is that I had finished reading a book that was 50 years of Godzilla, but it took place during it was written around 2004. So it was 20 years out of date, really, but that's not the fault of the book. It's just that I read it 20 years after it was first written, right? And I thought it was a very neat book. I enjoyed my time reading it, but in it, there's a part of the chapter dedicated to that movie, which I saw back in the day in theaters. I was super hyped for it. Saw it in theaters. And even as a dumb little kid who didn't really see many things, like saw a lot of the movies that my dad wanted to see, even I knew that it was kind of really bad. It might be the first bad movie where I consciously said, that's a bad movie. That probably was definitely the case in that one, where I was like, this is not good in any kind of capacity. But yeah, so in the book they had an entire thing like ripping it apart. And the funny thing about that movie is that when Godzilla, American Godzilla came out again, which I believe is a 2014 one that features Bryan Cranston and all that stuff, there were a couple, I'm gonna say not that many, but there was a decent enough of them that made their opinion known. That was like, are you sure about that? Who said that that movie, the 1998 one, was better than that Godzilla. And I hadn't seen it in years, and I didn't plan to see it back then. Even then, I thought, that's crazy for you to say that, but I mean, it's not like that movie that came out with Godzilla is perfect, but at least I can understand its faults. Like Godzilla 2014, that is, the one with Bryan Cranston. Like, I understand a lot of them is like, you don't show Godzilla, you don't do this, and a lot of the complaints that they have, I always chalked it up to they didn't like that it was artistic in some kind of way, because that is a very like, oh, I don't want to show Godzilla until a specific point, I don't want to kind of do this. It's something that you would never expect from a movie, from a monster movie, that's like, oh, just show Godzilla and then you're good. But no, they actually keep him fairly mysterious, and then when you actually do see him for the first time, I feel like it finally pays off all the waiting and stuff like that. And then there's some other negatives that you could also say, like the Mutos are not the greatest thing in the world. Like they're Cloverfield monsters, basically, which is not fantastic. There hasn't been really that many amazing Western kaijus. There's obviously some great monsters. Don't get me wrong on that. Obviously, we have some pretty good monsters. The problem is when it comes to giant monsters, we've never been able to make them not look like Cloverfield monsters ever since Cloverfield came out. It's been a little bit of a problem. It's a known issue. So I always understood a lot of the criticisms. Not to say that it's like the most perfect movie in the world, but it is definitely, I thought, better than what we got there. But anyway, I always kept that in the back of my head of like, okay, there's some people who just like really think that this one is better than that one. So I was reading all that. I'm like, is it really this bad? Because it was a full-on like taking down of 2000 and the 1998 Godzilla. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to rewatch it myself. Is it as bad as this person said? And was describing it, and as I was watching it, I came to the realization this is actually probably worse than that. I felt at the end of it, I was like, I feel like they were being too nice to this movie. This movie, that movie, if you've never had the displeasure of seeing it, it is aggravatingly bad. It is not even a Godzilla movie. I've come to like Zilla itself. I think Zilla the creature is funny, and the way that the Japanese have treated Zilla as this is a monster in which Americans thought was Godzilla, but it looks nothing like it, and of course it isn't, and it's also a weak jobber. I think that's funny. I think that's hilarious, and I like that when they put him into like a gacha game, they put him into a gacha game. Their opening animation is them dying. I think that's great. I think that's hilarious. So I have no beef with Zilla. What I do have beef with is that movie, though, because it is the most like, you didn't even bother to make a Godzilla movie. It's not a Godzilla movie. It's like the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms, or I guess in the most easiest way of saying it, it's kind of like one of those movies, and then it turns into like bullshit Jurassic Park near the end, where it's just it fully stops being a Godzilla. It stops pretending to be a Godzilla, and it reveals to you, okay, we just really want to be Jurassic Park, if you don't mind. And I think now that we've dealt with the main thing, I think it's good to go. I think it ends up being like very like annoying that when you see it with the idea that this is supposed to be Godzilla, because it's just not. A lot of the acting is bad, but to be fair, a lot of the acting in Godzilla movies has been bad. Even if you don't fully understand them, in Japanese, you can recognize that the story of human element was never like the strongest suit of Godzilla outside of specifically a couple instances, 3 in total, which is the very first Godzilla, the 1950s one, or Gorgia, however you want to say it, Godzilla, first one ever. The next one is Shin Godzilla, and then the last one you can take seriously acting wise is Godzilla -1. Those are the ones I will accept and say, like, yes, those are the exception that prove the rule correct. Because typically the acting in Godzilla is not the reason you're there. You came here to see a man in a suit fucking fight each other. Or sometimes it's Mothra, and you want to see Mothra. And that's perfectly fine. But yeah, the acting is not great. But I don't ever expect it to. I think it's a really weird call to say, like, I think Matthew Broderick should be the leading star vehicle in this. And then they also have, like, Kent Brockman. A lot of the people from Simpsons, like, a lot of comedians are in it, actually. They have, like, the shitty stand-ins from Roger Ebert because fucking the people who made it are the same people who made Independence Day. And they got shit on by Roger Ebert and the what is the name? Ebert and Siskel and Ebert. So they got taken down by Siskel and Ebert, and so they put in like this fake like parody of them that's like, oh, I'm an incompetent mayor, oh. Which my favorite response to that was like, yeah, that's great, but your movie still kind of sucks. Which was the quote from Reaper, which is like, hey, that's great, your movie still kind of blows chunks, if we're being honest with each other. But yeah, Godzilla's really small, and then he gets destroyed by the fucking like army, which makes no fucking sense because usually the army does not beat Godzilla except for in some very, very, very niche cases in which they do. And even then, it takes a lot, and they just beat him with like regular ass fucking missiles. It's really bad. So I watched that. I wrote an entire review up of it on Letterboxd, and that was the last movie I saw. It's funny because this may be the longest review I had, just because I was just so unbelievably fucking mad about it. Waste of time. Should never have given it a second chance. But sometimes I like to give things a second chance, just because I don't know if I'm gonna end up liking it the second time. I think that's fair enough that you can give something another chance. Not everyone, I'm not saying everyone has to, but I think it's probably good for you to do that, because you never know when you'll end up liking something again. I was like that with Witcher 3. I played Witcher 3 the first time I bought it on Steam. I said, this kind of sucks. I played it again about like a year later, and I said, this still kind of sucks. And then I think I played it again a year later, and I said, this sucks. And then I waited an extremely long time, and then finally I played it, and I said, this is an amazing video game. And it was that specific point where I finally said, oh, I'm enjoying this, and I played the shit out of it, and I beat it all, and enjoyed my time with it, and I think it's a wonderful video game. But again, I always give like kind of like multiple chances to something to see if I'll eventually kind of just feel a need to it. Because sometimes you're just not in the mood for some things. You're just like, whatever, man. I don't really want to fucking deal with this right now. It ain't worth my time. And, you know, fair enough. In that case, I did feel like it was worth at least giving a little second shot of it. But yeah, and that's basically it. I think in terms of other things I would have potentially seen, I saw the Fallout show. I saw season 2. Which was good. I liked it. I kind of have a problem in the sense that not in the overall story thing. I thought the story was perfectly fine. It's a fun way to kind of go through Fallout again. The thing I have a problem with is that it's a lot of setup, and I feel like that season ends. It starts as like we're setting up to something bigger, and then it ends with them going, we're really still setting up for something bigger. So I feel like I'll end up watching it for the next upcoming seasons, but it did definitely give me a feeling of like, well, I kind of wish there was a little bit more. We get a little bit more answers. We kind of get a little bit more payoff to some stuff, but, you know, not to the degree in which I was satisfied is what I'll say. But it was a good time. I really like watching it. as a fan of Fallout. I also did try and play some Fallout 1, which those games very hard to go back to. Mainly because there's no like really good way of going back to them. I think there is like you have to like kind of configure a lot of stuff, but it's a lot more effort than just buy the game on Steam, which I have. I've made sure to get both Fallout and Fallout Tactics most recently and kind of go through it that way, and it just kind of doesn't like, yeah, you know, it never really kind of goes for it. It's a very different, bless you, it's a very different kind of game that is hard to go through. It's one of those things where, like, if I was in the direct mood and wanted to go through it, I definitely think I could. But the most recent time is the farthest I was able to go, and I was enjoying my time. It was just that eventually I had to move on. Be like, okay, well, I got a taste of it. The opening to that game is still really, really good, though. Where it maybe doesn't, like, fully... A lot of the stuff that it does, obviously the gameplay itself, the way it looks, that doesn't hold up to today's eyes for the most part. But the story of it has always worked out really well for me. I think a lot of the things that they were going through, or a lot of the mood that they set up, is still really solid. So I'm glad to buy it and do it all that again, and especially because it's like what, $5 for 3 games. It's not bad. As the most recent discussion around Pokemon started again, of how much, and that's a discussion that I think just has no winners. I think the easiest way to understand it is either you say, I will buy that, and then you buy it, or you don't, and then you continue to emulate it, and then everyone kind of is fine with that. That this game kind of exists for people who specifically want it for this specific reason, and they are willing to pay the person who owns it to be like, here you go. I still wish there was a lot of things that would have been better with it, especially because with Fire Red and Leaf Green, they are the closest. This also annoys me because I can't believe that they came out and said that, because I'm like, that's fucking stupid, but whatever. They don't want to release on Virtual Console the original. I leveled up to 169, let's go. They don't want to release again the original Pokemon, which is Red and Blue, onto Virtual Consoles because they see Fire Red and Leaf Green as like the way to play those games. So if those are out there, then you should just play those. And I think that still kind of sucks, because I would like the original versions to be playable, because those are not the same games. Those are different games to me. Fire Red and Leaf Green add things. What if I don't want to deal with the new bullshit islands that they added? They ever think about that? What if I just want a nice, simple experience? What if I don't want to deal with any of the things that you added? I want original Pokemon as I remembered it, which is you go into you take 10 minutes tops to go do something, and then you fuck off, and then you somehow get to the Indigo Plateau and you win the day. That's the Pokemon I remember, and I think for historical reasons, you should be able to put those games up and make them available. I think hiding them away is stupid. That's like saying, what if we got rid of the other 3 versions of A Star Is Born just because we have a new version of A Star Is Born? It's like, well, why would you ever want to watch the old ass ones? We got Lady Gaga and fucking Rocket Raccoon in this one. Bradley Cooper. Better known as Rocket Raccoon. You have that game in there. I'm not even grinding anymore because this is how angry it's making me. But if you release that game and then the other versions, you just said, you know what, these versions shouldn't exist anymore because we have a new version, you should just go see that. No, that's bullshit to me. You should make sure that they're available to all. You should make sure that both versions are available and easily accessible, because that is a piece of history that you have there. And sometimes I just literally want to go back and experience that one. I want to see the shitty sprites. I want to see the coffin that is in the wrong place. I want to go back to when psychic types where ghost types were not weak to psychic types for some fucking reason. I want to go and experience that. And as such, as the consumer who is willing to say, I will give you $5 if you just let me fucking have this, you should just listen to them and be like, okay, give us $5 then. There ain't nothing added. We didn't add outline. We didn't add any of that shit. Give us $5. And I'm like, here you go. Here's your $5 fucking dollars. We're good. Thank you very much. I love this. Simple and clean. But anyway, I'm digressing from the original point. The thing that really bothered me is I really wanted the physical version that Japan got, but even then it wouldn't have been. It's one of those things of like, I understand why they probably didn't do it, which is that if they had said we're releasing physical versions of Pokemon again, I would never have been able to buy those physical versions ever. Because what would have happened is those things would go on sale, and then I would lose them to a bunch of fucking scalpers, and then I just would never have them regardless, and no one would have them, and all they would have would be a bunch of fucking like headlines saying 30-year-old man kills 10-year-old for a physical version of Leaf Green and Fire Red as he leaves the cart. Like, there's no goodness. There's like an entire bigger scalping issue going on in Pokemon that is likely bigger than I would be possible for them to deal with in time for it. I still think there should be a way for them to fuck over the scalpers in some kind of way to let them have it, to make it so that we can all have it, because what I care about most is the physical version. Because if you don't, like, the digital versions, we've been through this before, there's digital versions of the 3DS games that you could buy, but that store is gone. You can't download them anymore. You can't do anything with them. So you effectively bought those games on 3DS and you can't even have access to them, which makes no fucking sense. The only way you can have actual access to Pokemon all times is that you have a physical version in your hands. Now the other problem is that they likely would have done the shitty game card thing that they have, which is not, I mean, I haven't really had that much complaints, but what I want is like a cartridge that holds on to it, which is I would have wanted like some kind of SD card that says I have this Pokemon game, and as long as I keep this shit protected for all time, I'll never have to download anything, I'll never have to do anything, I just have access to Pokemon as long as I have this little fucking SD card thing, and I have a Switch 1 or a Switch 2, I'd be able to do it. And I think that would be great to own as something. Because with the download thing, they can always do the bullshit like, you don't actually own this. I don't really see buying a digital game as actually owning it. I only see it as it was physical. I'm basically borrowing it until either they take it down or, like, I don't know, I die, and then I don't know what happens to my game collection. If it was possible, I would move it down to my family and future generations. The future generation of children that will come after me or are somehow related to my family deserve to be able to play Knack on the PS4 if I own a digital version of Knack. Years from now, 30 years from now, they should be able to be open like, we need to go play some old school PlayStation 4. Let's open this up and play some Knack. And it's like, oh no, we don't have access to it anymore. But it's okay, we have like the Knack remaster where Super Knack is in it now. And this is the definitive, I don't know, I'm thinking too far. We ain't living that far anyway. But like I said, there is a lot of legitimate things to be kind of annoyed with how they done it, but at the end of the day, I'm like, just don't buy it and be like, well, this is bad business practice. Yeah, but it's not your money. Who cares? I want this thing to be viable, and if it was not viable, I would just continue to emulate it. And I'm going to be honest with you, even if I did buy it, I'm still going to be emulating those games because they did not include the Japanese version for some fucking reason. You have to buy like all of the different ones. This is another thing that they should have really fucking fixed. The actual audacity to put it up in all the different languages is like, if you want the Italian version, you have to buy the Italian version. If you want the English version, you have to buy the English. That's insanity. They should have just made it so that if you buy it, you have access to all the fucking languages. Maybe it is like that, and maybe I'm just like remembering, but when I saw that eShop go up, it did not look like that. So I was like, okay, that's definitely a choice. You've made some decisions here that I do not agree with, that I think are kind of stupid, but here we are. And yeah, you know, that's just the way it goes. I'm obviously a fan of Pokemon. I would not have a Wooper profile pic on my channel if I did not in some cases love Pokemon, but talking about it is always very annoying. It's easier when it's like between like two people. If you can talk to someone like that, then yeah, it's real easy. But when over the internet, there's no point to it. It's just a lot of like, do you ever read that story from Dr. Seuss about the two dudes who like are face to face to each other and they don't move on and like they refuse to budge for the other one and they don't listen to each other? That's basically like talking about Pokemon with someone. On the internet, that is. When it's online, it's a little bit easier because you have to actually treat them as a real fucking person. And when you treat someone with like a real fucking person, then you usually avoid that situation because like you know better. But on the internet, who fucking cares? You can dig in your heels, you can lie, you can do whatever. You can do everything. But yeah, Pokemon. Looking forward to the big ol' anniversary thing that they got cooking up. Gen 10. I'm here for it. I don't know what it could be, but I'm sure it'll be something. I don't know what I actually want from a new Pokemon game. I really did like Scarlet and Violet. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was great. Notwithstanding the terrible frame rate problems that only exist in the Switch version now, they're almost all gone on the Switch 2 version, which is the definitive version to play that game. But I really dug that game. I thought it was doing just about everything right. There's only one thing I probably would have wanted now, which is I kind of want to go back to original gym leading. Because I still kind of miss the way they did it in the old days, which is they have like the idea of gym leaders there. Like there's people you challenge and stuff like that. But I want like the original, like you go to a place and you go through a gym that is like weirdly themed to this one specific thing. You go in, you go fight them, and then you kind of go on from there. I kind of want to go back to that a little bit, but I'll see what they do. I did like a lot of the story stuff in the most recent new one. I really liked it a whole bunch. Arden, Lily, Demona, all good dudes, all really fun to interact with and stuff like that. So I would love to see where they kind of go from there. It was a lot of fun traversing through it. We're like getting to the point where I think eventually they'll be able to get back to what I liked most about original Pokemon, which was that there was a lot of like mystery and stuff to it. I feel like a lot of the mystery kind of element is gone by this point, but it's not a fault of the series, it's a fault of how we treat shit in general. Like I was talking to my brother about this where he's like, there's no way anyone back in the day legitimately found Zapdos in the power plant. Oh, is it Articuno? No, you said Zapdos. You said Zapdos. Remember? No, you said Zapdos. There was no way for you to find the power plant naturally.
I didn't find any of the legendary versions. I was talking about that Articuno, but specifically, it was probably something you would get from a player guide to tell you that he's actually there.
That's what he was saying, is that there would be a power guide, but that was just not the way we handled it back in the day. There was occasionally things like the way we said is obviously there's a buttload of guides. There were some people that you did use guides, but those are likely the people who came in afterwards. But the way you typically did it back then is that you talked to someone and they would reveal to you just a little bit more and you would kind of go around looking for stuff. So there was a lot of like mystery elements to it as you're like trying to find things that were like hinted at, because back then it wasn't like magazines would say here's where everything is. The thing is with Pokemon is that they added something in there that Nintendo was not aware of, which was Mew back in the day. So because there were things that people did not know about it, the approach you had to the games was that you tried to like search everything and you tried to remember everything as you went through, which is what I did back in the day. So that's how I eventually did end up finding all of the bird. I remember when I first found Zapdos, where it's like, it wasn't like I was going out there to say, I'm going to go find Zapdos. It was me going, I remember there was like this weird, it was me being stuck and not able to advance. So I was trying to find more places to go with surf. And so I used surf back to the point where it was the entrance to the cave, and then I remembered going through there, and then that's when I found the power plant. But when I found the power plant, I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And I kind of go through it, and at the end of it, you find Zapdos, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And then originally I killed Zapdos, not knowing that Zapdos was something that you caught. And then I did eventually, I think I reset my game, and I went back in there, tried to catch it. And it was not easy at all. I eventually, because he originally like completely destroyed my team, except for the random Graveler that I had. I didn't even have Golem because I didn't know anyone with a link cable back then. Because you had to buy the link cable if you wanted to trade Pokemon in them olden days. And so I eventually did catch it, and the way that I found the other one, the last one, Articuno, I told him that the entrance to where you find Articuno, if you go in through the back way of Cinnabar Island, which is always the way I went, I never actually went the way that the game wanted you to, which is after you fight Koga, you go down, and then you go through the water, and then you find yourself in the cave. I never did that as a kid. I just don't know why I didn't. I just never did. And I don't think I really ever do that. I think even to today, I would try and go that way, and I would not go through the traditional way if it was up to me. So that's how I found Articuno. And then Moltres took me the longest just because I didn't know where the fuck he was on Victory Road. That one was definitely really tricky for me to find. For Mewtwo, it was remembering that there was a cave in Cerulean City that I could not go through because a guy kept blocking it. And every time I like got new badges, I would go to him and say like, hey, so can I go through now? And he wouldn't let me through, and he would never let me through until finally I got that. And I was able to go through, and I was like, oh shit. And then at the end of the cave, there was Mewtwo, and I was like, oh fuck. And back in those days, the Pokemon could swat away your balls. And I didn't have the Master Ball by that point, because I think I used it likely on Articuno or something. I don't remember what Pokemon I would have used it on, but it was very tough. And from that point onward, I knew at the end of the game, try and keep a Master Ball to remember to use it on Mewtwo and stuff. And yeah, I really would like that feeling of mystery to kind of return to Pokemon, but it's not possible any days. Because back in the day, we were like literally finding any kind of random bullshit and just assuming that it was like something added in by the devs or something. Like with Missing Go, which is missing number, which was an error, but because they hid the fact about Mew from us, I just assumed that Missing Go had to have been a real Pokemon at some point, until eventually I realized better, that's not an actual Pokemon. I'm just corrupting my data every time I'm catching this goddamn thing. Which, I've lost a decent bit of save files after catching Missing Go, that's for sure. Yeah, there's that, and it's just a lot of fun. The best way to experience it with mystery is to just not talk to anyone and just kind of figure it out. But again, I think most people are just like looking up and saying like, how do you find this? How do you find that? How would anyone know to do this? And the answer is back then, because we fucking just tried it. I think I remember seeing someone saying like, how would you ever know that to evolve this Pokemon, you would have needed to fold your DS in half? And the reason is that back then you just knew that some random fucking method would be the way to evolve a Pokemon if you paid enough attention, because they did it every single game. So you just had to remember how to do them and stuff like that. Like Gold and Silver is a pretty good example of it, because there was a day-night cycle. Like you had to make sure that like when you set your clock, that you were in the right fucking time and you were able to catch them and you were awake during specific points. There was some Pokemon that you could only catch on like a Friday at like 5 p.m. And you just had to be playing the game at that time to be able to do it. It was just a very different like experience, and it's not like that anymore. And it's probably what they assume for the best, because it's easier to do stuff, and maybe kids today don't want to do that, but whatever. And they are mostly for kids, of course. Mostly, they're like 100% made for kids. But doesn't mean that I can't still enjoy them and stuff like that. And at some point also recognize that, yo, these are like baby's first JRPG. So I'm like not expecting the world from them, but I'm expecting them to at least be a fun, good old time, which I've been having. And like even like the Scarlet and Violet were so good that they actually made me try to play some competitive Pokemon, because my boy Clodsire was kind of meta at the time that I was doing it, in the sense that he was a big old boy and he could tank all the hits. So I'm like, of course I'm going to use Clodsire if that's the case. And now I'm going to look forward to when that Pokemon game comes out that is kind of built all around training them. I'll play that because I got to play it a little bit more in there and I liked it. So man, Pokemon, I can't wait. It's a fun old time. It's a fun old world out there to experience and have fun with. And I'll see how I'll see how that 10th generation is gonna end up being. I don't really know. I don't have any specific expectations other than I just kind of want to see where it's going. Oh, thank you for the ticket. I think this is where we'll call it. Let's see. I was about at 1 million. How much am I at now? 1 million. Okay, well, I got up about 500,000 points within these last 40 minutes. I think this is where we can end the grind and talk for right now. A lot of this will likely be done off screen of some kind, if I can probably manage that, and also get ready for some other stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for watching Grind and Talk. It was mostly me complaining about Godzilla 1998 and talking about Pokemon, which is good enough for me. I'll love me some Pokemon, that's for sure. That's it for, so maybe, you know what, that reminds me, I have to get back to, I might have to try and see if I can find the save file, but I did have a Nuzlocke going that I did promise to continue at some point, but it might be too long for this one. I have to go find where that, if I still have that DS save file, and if I do, maybe I can pull it up, because those videos were edited. That was the reason why that I had to eventually like stop, is that they were extremely edited videos. That were not easy to do, just to make it a little bit easier, rather, because the last Nuzlocke that I had was, I think, for silver version, and I think that one had like over 100. Did it actually have over a fucking 100? Let me be double sure on this one. That one I know for sure I finished, but it might be the longest series of videos that I've done on here. I don't even remember if I did it with Zen. 116 parts. There was 116 videos. God damn. Some of these are ineligible. Oh, probably because I used music for them during some specific parts for when someone died. God, these are so fun. Maybe when the new one comes out, I can figure out something like that. I'll see. I also need to get back to Pokemon Coliseum 2 to finish it with my brothers before his next birthday comes in. God, this one, the Pokemon Silver one, was so much fun. When did I start this one? It started in February 26, 2022, and the final video of it was in September 7th, 2022. So it took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Jesus Christ, it's a long time. But anyway, I've hardcore digressed. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I wish you the best in your grind as we get closer to the end of this Valentine's Day grind. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace out. Bye-bye.